Hey everyone, this is Faiz and welcome to my channel. Today I am driving the all-new Genesis GV70, the electric model. And I'm super excited because for the longest time I've wanted to really try out a Genesis because I think they look super duper cool. And I think that their electric vehicle offerings are pretty neat. So I'm finally in one right now and I've been driving it for a while. And in today's review, I'm going to give you my full thoughts. So the first thing I want to talk about is design. So first, let's go over the exterior design.
This electric crossover SUV looks pretty much identical to its gas version. Now, when you look at the front of this GV70, it has the signature Genesis crest grille that has now evolved into an aerodynamic emblem that features an inverted G-matrix pattern and incorporates a hidden EV charging port. This charging port is basically invisible when closed, and I like that it's an impressively integrated look. Overall, I quite dig the look of the front of this vehicle as it's quite striking, minimalistic, yet sophisticated. Now, when you compare it to the gas version, that has an actual grille, whereas this one is plastic, yet nonetheless, it still looks stylish. I also really like the look of these two-line quad lamps for the headlights. The side profile is also pretty nice with its angular lines. You also get these new 20-inch EV exclusive wheels that are now available for the electrified GV70. Now let's take a look at the rear. While the front of the GV70 is slightly edgier, the rear is more rounded. I don't know if it's just me, but somehow the rear of this car really resembles the Porsche Macan. Also, since it's an EV, it has no tailpipes unlike its gasoline counterpart. I really love the two-line quad lamps as well, as it brings the design all together. Overall, the Genesis GV70 looks really luxurious, modern, and sophisticated.
Now let's go over the interior. All right, so one of the things I really like about the interior is how luxurious it feels. To be honest, when I first sat inside the Genesis GV70, I didn't even think that this was an electric model. It almost looks identical to its gasoline counterpart.
And that means that it has a similarly impressive design and offers an upscale ambiance. The build quality and materials here is top notch. Now, unlike a Tesla or the Hyundai Ioniq vehicles that are more centered around tech, the Genesis GV70 electric is more focused on classic luxury. So you get nice, finely stitched leather, metallic trims, and great overall comfort. But like I said, this looks identical to the gas version.
Yes, in the front there is a mileage indicator letting you know how many miles you have left for range, and obviously there's some aspect on the screen. It shows you what your EV range is at 226 miles right now, as you can see.
So you get this nice 14.5-inch widescreen display with split functions that offers control of the AC, music, navigation, and pretty much anything that you traditionally find in an infotainment system. It is a touchscreen, but you also get this touch controller to control the infotainment system. Also, right behind this controller, you get another circular controller, but this one is your gear selector. It's not the crystal ball like on the Genesis GV60, but it's still nice. You basically just twist it to switch your gears and hit the middle to park.
Now, one thing that does trip me up a little bit when I'm driving is that you can use the touchscreen, but obviously it's not the most ergonomic while driving. So you can use this little trackpad right here to, zoom in and out and click your buttons and stuff. But there's been many times where I'm driving and I accidentally am messing with the gear selector because they're both, round circles. And when you're driving, you're not always looking at which one to choose, right? So sometimes it does trip me up a little bit. I'm trying to change something from the screen, and next thing I find out I'm messing with the gear selector. So maybe that's just muscle memory. As I drive more, it won't be that big of an issue, but it does trip me up a little bit.
Now, underneath the infotainment system, you also get your climate controls with independent automatic air conditioning, airflow direction, temperature toggles, and fan speed. Underneath that, you get quick controls to bring up certain elements on the widescreen display. And of course, you get some cup holders in the center console. What's really neat is that you also get a fingerprint authentication system that allows drivers to load individual driver profiles and settings and activate valet. The steering wheel, as you can see, has a lot of buttons, and behind the steering wheel, you get your cluster, which is half analog and half virtual. Now, there is a package to get a fully virtual 3D cluster, which, to be honest, feel like should be a standard in today's day and age, as this version looks pretty dated. The driver's seat has a lot of adjustability options to find the right driving position, and there's enough flexibility for taller drivers as well. The GV70 is pretty easy to see out of, and I really like the 360-degree camera system that further helps out in tight parking situations. This is something I really wish my Tesla had. You also get interior mood lighting to really personalize your experience.
Now, one of the things that I really wish that the Genesis GV70 electric had was wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Right now, you need a connector to physically enable CarPlay, for an example, but you do have a wireless charging pad here, so you can charge your phone both through wireless methods or through a connector as well. So that's pretty neat. And of course, you can even close this up to hide your phone completely.
Now in the back, you have your HVAC controls down here with heated seats in the back, with both heated and cool seats in the front. You also get decent headroom and legroom as well, and there's a whole big glass sunroof up top.
All right, now let's go over perhaps the most important aspect of this vehicle, which is the driving experience. All right, so one of the first things I can immediately tell you is how smooth the drive is of this GV70 electric. It feels really nice, and it's a very comfortable ride. Like, it feels buttery smooth. It's something you have to experience. And to be honest, when I drive my Model Y, for an example, I really love the Model Y. I have the performance version, and to be honest, the smoothness is not the same as it is on this. And it's definitely something that you immediately experience right away.
Also, I really like this electric GV70 standard adaptive suspension, as it scans the road to adapt and take on potholes and bumps. It's also a relatively fast SUV with a 0 to 60 of about 4 seconds. But with this car, it's not about sporty driving. Yes, it's fast and super smooth, but what makes this car special is that it prioritizes a soft, smooth, and comfortable driving experience.
And it's a really quiet cabin. If you drive in a Tesla Model Y, for an example, it gets pretty loud in there, but in here it's really, really quiet. And that's something that I really prefer when I'm driving. I like a nice, quiet cabin, and this definitely delivers in that department. So one of the things that I really like is that when I'm trying to give an indicator right or left, on this screen right here, it basically shows me my blind spot camera. So that comes really handy when I'm trying to make turns. It's really nice. You don't have to look anywhere else. It shows you right here on the dashboard screen. So that's a nice feature that I really enjoy. Next, let's talk about range.
So Genesis claims that this electric GV70 can travel about 236 miles on a single charge, which is not bad, but it's not great either. So in my testing, I actually found that it got me a slightly longer distance of about 245 miles. Still, that's not the greatest, and still below what the Audi Q4 e-tron and the Tesla Model Y provide. However, it can charge from 10% to 80% in 18 minutes on a 350 kilowatt DC fast charger. Overall, the range is quite average, and that's probably my biggest gripe with this car.
Next, let's talk about cargo capacity.
With the electric GV70, you get around 28.7 cubic feet of space behind the second row, which is pretty much what you get with other SUVs of this size. You also have a tiny sub-trunk where you can store additional things as well. And yes, it does have a front trunk, but it's so useless that I can barely even talk about it.
So in conclusion, I really enjoyed driving the Genesis GV70 electric. I think it's a beautiful looking car. So it looks really nice. And from the inside, obviously the luxuriousness that you get in this, you are not going to get that from a Tesla. So if you're someone who's really been wanting a electric vehicle that is nice and luxurious and stylish looking, and that gives decent range, I think you're really, really going to enjoy this because you get all of that plus a really nice ride. But overall, I've been really impressed with this. I hope you enjoyed my video. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so for all things electric vehicles, and I will see you next time.